So yeah, you were saying into the editorial process.
Yeah, I'm always looking at when content is created, who's creating that content? What are any of the rules or guidelines we need to follow with that content? And how many eyes will it pass through or pass by in order to make sure all the I's are dotted and T's are crossed
Hmm.
and the commas are there, especially the Oxford comma, which I'm partial
Oh,
to.
good. Yeah, I'm an Oxford comma person too.
Okay,
So
excellent. But I did notice there were certain commas missing in certain places. And when I put the edit, it may have been a little too subtle. I was trying to highlight like a little red comma to show that this edit is a comma edit. But most of the edits, I fixed the commas or whatever else might have been there rule wise as we changed the wording, like rearranged the wording a little, made it a little more layperson. Um, so then, is there a rule for when we go for the layperson versus for the more technical? I mean, I seem to think we want layperson all the time because it's much more accessible overall. And this is not necessarily just for academics and geeks.
yeah, I think if like that one thing where there was a very specific disease on the top
Yeah.
one, we need a link to the specific disease. But I think when you dig in there, there will. So I think there will be pockets where it will get extremely technical, and
Hmm.
we'll try and use the terms the first time through. But if people really want to dig in and debate that, they'll have to do some additional research. But yeah, in general, I want to actually choose like a chosen reading level or a list of words that we know we can use words outside of the top 1,000 or top 10,000 words or whatever. And
Hmm.
but we need to like I want to be able to run something over it and pop out and say, "Are you sure you want to use this word?" When I mean, I
Yeah.
guess every name will pop up, but yeah, I'd like to have some rules on the language. If we could say like ninth
Typically,
grade, whatever.
well, that's pretty high level,
Yeah,
honestly.
that's
Typically,
true.
I've been asked, even for newspapers, to write at the sixth grade reading level.
I think
So
that's
sixth
really
grade
good.
is, and in my writing job now, sixth grade reading level. Um, and there are things that you can just run it through too. So
Yeah,
you could create a script or however you want to do
yeah.
it.
I'd probably send the text to a service and have it come back. But and it's okay to have more technical words. It's just if we have it, we need a link to a definition.
A link to a definition, but I also so one of the ones was a condition, and I can't remember the name of the condition because it's
Hmm.
very technical.
Right.
And parenthetically, I put got worsened,
Hmm.
worse. What was it? Something like you become sicker from the vaccine versus anyway, it was a
Yeah.
definition parenthetically. It was maybe 4 or 5 word definition, super easy, but it brought it to the layperson, but it didn't remove or de-emphasize
Right.
the actual term, which then was utilized, I believe, again without the definition.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a smooth way of handling
I like
something
that.
that's highly technical. Um, but these are all the things that on the rules tab, I want to start documenting. Some of them are a little more subtle, but can be very pervasive,
Yeah.
like when we're using highly technical terms. The thing about linking out that I'm always concerned with is linking out to your source is good.
Hmm.
Linking out to a definition, if you can solve it on the surface without sending them away, is
Yeah.
probably better. The less links out, I
Yeah.
mean,
Well, um, I I agree just in general that it's nice that if someone doesn't know, having it in parentheses right after it is just a better experience. I almost would like to still have a link to it because that explanation tells me a little bit about the disease, but
further reading then, like
yeah,
additional
like
reading
for the
kind of
reading, and
deal.
I don't mind so much in this one if people are leaving the site less than a site that does ad revenue. So I'm not so concerned about that. But yeah,
Right.
but your point about parenthetically putting in, I think is very important.
Okay. Okay. So then the idea of process, I think you just gave me some access to things, and there was a little discussion in Telegram about how it's composed. And so being able, I think was maybe even a spreadsheet, but being able to contribute to making sure the voice is consistent,
Mhm.
the punctuation is fine, the phrasing is not awkward. Um,
Yeah, so when Vicky first did the vaccine one, we actually did do a spreadsheet first. The challenge with spreadsheets is knowing the hierarchy. It's not very visual, but it's a great place to start because it's easy to type things and put comments and stuff. So I
the
think,
hierarchy of based on comparing it to the website where you see hierarchy, is that what
yeah,
you mean?
yeah. Which claim is the parent of this claim? Because sometimes the context makes a difference in how you would say it.
Correct. I get that. And when
But
I was putting my mind together, just so you know, that was something that I thought of, but I thought, well, do I spend time? Because I can design an Excel spreadsheet for you, which replicates that. And you could probably even program something that
yeah,
replicates that.
I mean, I have a few things to do. Like I could make something that I could actually make. So as long as you have an ID number or something, and then you have another number that says this is my parent, then I could actually make something that reads it and puts it into the Gullibot thing as is. Um,
Oh,
um,
cool.
so then you could see it in there. But also that one's not really easy to go around because I have it hiding everything else. So it'd be nice to have a quick viewer. But also I have something that looks at what level it's at and calculates it and puts a little like line so you can kind of see what relates to what. But it's not really, yeah. So we do need to figure that out. But regardless, the spreadsheet's better than nothing,
Mhm.
or putting it directly and losing track of everything. Eventually, when this is going on, it'd be nice to put an approval process directly into it, so it doesn't go live until whoever wants to approve it is kind of given an approval. And I think this early in the process, I think it'd be good if you and I, Vicky puts it in, you and I both take a look at it before it goes live. And if we get into the things where like 90% of them are going past me or going past you without things, then we could flip it and make it to where they go live beforehand. But we decide that together. But I'd like that, and then I'd like to say, like, and maybe even go ahead and have 3 columns: one for the initial one that Vicky puts in, one for your suggestion. And then if I want to suggest something else, I could just put it in another column. Right now, I put it in comments. And then we know if those are both filled out, then we probably need to have a discussion either through Telegram or on video or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I like
Okay.
that.
Okay. That sounds really good.
So Vicky started a spreadsheet. I don't know if you've looked at that. Oh, for the other one, which I don't really want you focusing on too much right now.
What do you mean the other
But
one? What are we talking about?
so there's um, it's still COVID, but it's slightly different. So um, let me share my screen. So the Better Skeptics is this project to fact check
Mhm.
the Dark Horse podcast.
Mhm.
Now their deadline was within a week, and we're not going to do it in a week. But I still would like to go through and take a look at these. Now they may have made a claim in the Dark Horse podcast that we can just use our existing thing, but I don't think so because I think they're all nuanced. But so I would also like to spend a little time creating, choosing a claim from all those videos um, and going through and doing a reason score on it, have a Gulli Bot kind of, do the research for it.
Okay.
Yeah, so and since kind of you and I are going all this, Vicky, I haven't had Vicky too much to do. So I just went ahead and had her go through and suggest what claims she thought in there would be fairly doable. And so I don't want to go into this right now, but she actually, it's interesting because when you talk about fact checking, oftentimes the fact checking is like they made a statement about a specific study. But the great thing about GulliBot is that we can fact check broader ideas. Is it safe? right? Because then we can break it down into hundreds of things and stuff like that. So I think when this group, the better skeptics, I think they're thinking of fact checking a claim as in a statement, but what we can do is fact check their analysis of the group of claims. So I think we have an interesting place in this discussion. And so we won't win any of the prizes, which they're only $100 anyways. That wouldn't cover the cost of. But they seem genuinely open to good faith debates. So what I'd like to do is let's go ahead and put something together and engage with them and see if even after the competition is over, if they'd be willing to score our systems and work with it. Because they actually have 3 people that are unrelated to the people that are supplying the 10,000K prize. And then they have kind of a rubric for grading the rebuttals. So yeah, so I want to participate that. So she's looking for those, and then at some point I'll want you to help me figure this out.
Okay. Sounds good.
So yeah, so she started a new spreadsheet for this. So later on, we may want to rephrase these claims, and then when we start getting into the data. So yeah, we'll want to make kind of like here's a spreadsheet for a claim, and what columns do we want and stuff, which is what you're working on. But yeah, I like that idea.
Okay, sounds good. Now I saw that you were in the feedback document now.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to go through some of these line by line?
Yeah.
The ones I have questions.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just thought
I was trying to gather from our last meeting what we had said, work on a little bit more, put in some thoughts so you would understand where I was coming from or what I understood. But I figured it was discussion.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you made some good progress, but we definitely should chat about it. Okay. So I'm just going in reverse order of the comments. We could also start from the top of the sheet. So let's do that instead. So this one's fine. Talked about that. So I put my little X there.
Yep.
I think Vicky actually doesn't have access to change this wording.
Okay.
I think let's have a bigger discussion about this a little later, because that's kind of what will be on top of every claim. And
right, every claim does have it, so I could see it's more structural, which I understand. I think it says help me correct this analysis, and it was the idea we had the discussion: is it correct or is it accept and refute? And so then I thought that maybe that was too long anyway, so that's why I said just simply help me accept or refute this claim.
Yeah, so accepting, there's no action for them to take to accept it. So I'd rather not mention that at all. So we could say refute, but it's not even refuting the claim or accepting the claim. It's refuting the score of the claim. I want them to tell me if I scored it wrong, not if the claim is right or wrong.
But they wouldn't be thinking about it based on a score per se. So
unless we explain it to them.
Yeah, and then suddenly they're thinking in mathematical terms versus.
Well, not even so much the score, but Gulli Bot's opinion about the claim. So when I come up and say I am confident that, should Gulli Bot be confident? Is there a reason Gulli Bot shouldn't be confident in the score? Is there a reason why Gulli Bot's wrong?
Right, and
not the claim itself.
Okay, so help me correct this analysis. Help me correct my analysis. Help me correct my
opinion.
But is it opinion? So opinion sounds so subjective. Is it really subjective? Help me correct my calculations. Help me correct my assessment.
Assessment's probably
good. Is that a little bit?
Yeah.
I made a new column for this.
Yeah, so maybe think about that some more. But yeah, I want to somehow convey it's not so, and I do separate this, but a lot of people don't. I separate the I am confident in, and then the claim itself of you should take the vaccine. So So I think of that as two different things. Now, other people, though, when they read the whole sentence, they may think about it as one thing, or they may think about it as two things, right? I don't know which way they'd go. I think most people would think about it as one thing. I am confident in, but the main thing we want them to think of it as a whole unit, or that first beginning. Is Gulli Bot correct in its analysis of the claim?
Okay.
I want them to correct Gulli Bot, not the claim.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Well, Gulli Bot's version.
So maybe it's just simply my analysis. Help me correct my analysis.
Yeah, I think that.
So Gulli Bot is claiming it.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's good. Okay. And
I mean, sometimes they're so subtle, but my really puts it on Gulli Bot as opposed to this analysis.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. And also it's kind of first person, which we wanted anyways, but you're absolutely right. When Gulli Bot says my, that really implies my, mine. Yeah. I like
Gulli Bot itself. Gulli Bot is saying the stuff that I'm doing, not the stuff that we're talking about, the stuff I'm doing.
Right.
Okay. Okay, cool. So then actually, since that was part of the discussion, but I'm going to put it right there as text edit. And so then if you like it, then you can accept that.
Oh, that's true.
And then, so those two, or that one is part of the actual template. So that's not going to be changeable. Okay.
Yeah. I'll need to do that. So I'll just put Bentley there, which I know is incorrect.
That's fine.
Later on, we'll have to figure out some tasks will be me and some will be Vicky. Okay. And you're just in control. There was something there was a little tweak in this one that, did I put it on here? No, there was something that made me think about this. Okay. Oh, I think I liked all the top. I don't think we decided on the click expand bit.
Right. We had not. So
yeah. Did you have any more opinions on that? I mean, do you still kind of feel expand is better than more info?
The place I get a hiccup is, so when I'm there looking at the claim and the more info opens up to additional sort of subclaims, if we're just going to call them that for the moment, and the supporting documents. Trying to get back to the other view, the more info leads me to believe I'm going deeper, I'm going deeper, okay, I'm going deeper. But to go back here, it doesn't seem intuitive that I'm asking for more info. I'm asking to see that expanded view that I saw before.
Yeah. So I was thinking maybe if we just use more info and then change the wording to close. Just kind of closing the more info. It's like opening a folder and then closing it. Although expanding, often people say expand on, but expand.
I know, it's sort of like you need bookends. So if you say more info, close seems kind of weird. Like it doesn't, because we didn't think we had opened something. We technically had opened it, but are we going to cognitively immediately see? So open info, close. Or
it's
open for more.
I don't know if they know what expanding is. I mean, maybe we could say for more info on, maybe make it really long to see why I scored this way. Expand. Click the expand button.
Supporting info.
Well, some of it will be opposing.
And so, yeah. Okay.
Although supporting, an opposing
supporting
documents.
Supporting.
Right. Supporting documents, right? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it really is just, I still struggle how to get back to that other view. Like I'm opening, and technically speaking, I do want to close those and revert back to where I was, but I want it opened.
Like I don't change it to hide more info. No, because that sounds. Well, let's for now.
Where's my return to the parent or return up a
Oh,
level
I
button?
could.
That's what I want to know where it is.
I mean, we could name it that. Let's
Yeah.
for now, let's
Table this.
just have let's put this back into more info just so that Vicky can do the update. And then let's have a separate line for
Okay, I'm gonna
the
I'll do that real
discussion
quick.
on the more
All right,
info.
I'm fixing that right now so that she's not going to change that piece of it. And then I'll just say, continue thinking through the navigation links and language. Okay. Okay. Yeah, so requires more thought. So yes, make that
Yep.
edit. So you're okay as recommended by your governing health. Oops,
Oh,
this is
I
healthy.
had a thought about that. So the problem is that I would like it specific to the US, even though, like we said, studies from outside the US can inform the decisions we make in the US. But I still would like to narrow it down to the US just because if someone's in Russia and their governing body says everyone has to take it or you get shot,
Right.
then I don't want to have that in this debate. So
then we have to go all the way up to the top level and set your framework immediately. Should you take a COVID-19 vaccine if you live in the United States? Or should US citizens take a
well, I think if we say I like your in parentheses as recommended. I just
Okay.
would put as recommended by the CDC, and people from outside the US should know that they're not recommended by the I think that narrows it down enough.
So yeah, so that makes it immediately subliminally, I don't know if subliminally or what is that?
Yeah.
Implied. It
implied.
immediately makes it an implied US centric message here, like information.
Yeah.
And
that's just
therefore somebody outside internationally will understand that this is US centric.
Yeah.
Okay, it's implied.
Yeah, I don't know. We may want to put a link on who the CDC is. I mean, I think everyone in the world that is worried about cat vaccines, just because the US is such a big player in this.
What happens if you were to Google CDC? Not everyone uses Google, but yeah, it's Center for Disease Control here in the States. Not everyone uses Google.
Although you Googling from the US. Maybe let's just go ahead and have Vicky
link?
put a link in there. Yeah. So I guess the best way to do that would be I could go ahead and put the link in here.
Okay. You're gonna do it?
It would be keep forgetting if it's brackets or parentheses. Brackets. Parentheses.
Right, when you're trying to put a link inside of the darn cell.
Yeah, that's the markdown format.
Yeah, exactly. That's a little bit of a.
Okay, so we're comfortable with this one.
Mm-hmm.
Do we want to go ahead and mark these as done as we go? So they disappear.
Wait, but done means that it's actually the change has been made.
I mean, I'm sorry, mark the comment just so they don't show up in this comment list over here.
How would you do it? What do you want to do?
So if I do this, I guess it's still there. It's just marked as done.
Yeah, if all that she is paying, if you have an X under OK, then that one has already been taken care of. So I can actually move. Whoops.
Yeah, I was just thinking over time. I might want to remove the comments unless.
Oh yeah. Eventually we can just sort of collapse them, right? I think we can collapse them, can't we? The same way you could collapse. Yeah, you can hide a column. So once it's all done, we could actually hide the whole column. I don't think you can hide it. Right? So
I know you can delete a comment. So I was thinking we may want to eventually. Oh well, yeah, no, it's no longer showing up on the page anymore because I marked it as complete. So it's still in the history. Okay, that's good. That way it doesn't show up. So let's look at this one. So a vaccine will reduce your chance of getting seriously sick due to COVID-19. Is this one? I had a thought on this one, but
So
I
this
did.
is when we were talking about they. They. Is it repetitive if
Yeah,
Gully's always
I definitely
mentioned?
agree with that. So you can then do that. And so also, if there's a lot of them in here, I don't know if you caught them all, or if you just want to have a line to tell Vicky, anywhere you see they that refers to the vaccines, put a vaccine.
Okay, so I could put it right here in the discussion. Anywhere you see they, make sure to replace with a vaccine or the vaccines, whichever is appropriate.
Well, I'm concerned about putting it in the discussion column. I don't know if Vicky knows to look.
Oh, well, when we give her the instruction, we could say, check E to make sure there's an X. That means that Bentley's okay with it. Then
Okay,
check
look.
G
Okay.
to see if there's, and I can even put Vicky.
Yeah.
And check,
Yeah, that
yeah.
might be good, just to make it clear.
So say, check column G, and wherever your name is mentioned, those are additional notes for you.
If you want to, yeah. We could also make it just a whole nother row, and instead of putting a specific text, just put to do that. Either ways works. So
Okay. What do you want? Do you want another column that's just like notes to Vicky?
no, I think let's try it like this.
Okay.
I
And
think
see
there
it.
was another reason why I had a question mark here, though. Let me
I know,
read.
like, well, so off on the
Maybe-
right-hand side, I put down see rules. Maybe it was something about that. Rules line 3 for categorizing with myth and fact. Why did I put myth and fact there? Because there was no myth and fact there. What's line 3? So I had asked, is it better for you if I put, oh, no. Oh, okay. So see in the first in column B, I said, does it make sense if you have myth on some, fact check on others, that we simply put claims on the various claims?
So the reason of saying myth, though, is not the same as saying fact check or claim. Myth
Okay.
is an evaluation of the quality of the claim. And actually, I was kind of working on this document for Gulli Bot claim phrasing. So I'm thinking there's 4 parts of a claim, and we discussed this a little bit. One is the explanation of the score. Why is the score? Well, it's not why is the score is there, but it's one level down, right? It's not all the reasons, but it's the importance. So the score is just shown of 0 to 100. So things could be really low because either they're untrue or because they're unrelated. And there may be even other reasons, right? So the score explanation, we have it there because we don't want to assume that people read or understand the score. And it's extremely important to call out false or misleading statements. So some of the examples would be like myth, or say it is irrelevant that. So that's a claim that could be true, but we gave it a low score because it doesn't matter. And then I'm confident that is the same kind of section in the main claim, but we probably only need stuff like that on the main claim because people assume if you're saying a sentence, they assume you think it's true and relevant if you don't say
Unless you
otherwise.
preface it with myths,
Right.
or preface it with irrelevant.
But then I'd like to say, I assume for a claim that has no children and no source. And then I'm thinking about maybe based on the source is a claim with no children, but has a source. So you're still kind of telling them, we don't have any other reasons except for the source beneath it. So you don't have to open it, but that we don't have to do that. But these are kind of what I'm thinking of it would be. So fact check, they're all kind of fact checks and they're all kind of claims. So I don't think we really need to call that out.
Okay. So we have myth, irrelevant, I am confident, I assume, and fact check. So those are the various things that I've heard.
I mean, I still wouldn't put fact check. I would.
You would not put fact check?
No.
Okay, because that was on one of them. You do know.
Yeah, so I think Vicky put that on there, or maybe I was
okay. So then
at a certain time. But yeah, I wouldn't put that because everything in here is a fact check.
Got it. So myth, irrelevant, confident, and assumption.
Yeah, and I really need to like bold these so they're easy to see. But yeah, I think if you kind of agree with this concept, we'll put this document somewhere, and we can add kind of example intros as we run across them. I think this will cover like 90% of it, but I'm sure there'll be
Okay.
examples.
So my question is, do we want to have sometimes the word in capitalization, myth, colon, or do we want to have all phrases? It is irrelevant. I am confident. Because I feel like irrelevant, it is irrelevant. I am confident. Irrelevant and confident get a little bit lost because and so could it be irrelevant, colon, confident or confidence, colon, assumption, colon. So now you have your 4 criteria in a sense, or 4 claim, you're saying a claim phrasing, but it's really helping to set the stage for what that claim has been interpreted as.
I think
Correct?
that's an interesting idea. My only concern about it, which we could tackle when it comes about, is I don't know that all the situations where we would have a scoring, I haven't thought through all the reasons, or there's been some times where I've come across it and none of those applied. And I don't know if I could always think of a single word, but then we could just have that be an exception, right?
We could have it be an exception, or I can come up with a single word for you.
If there is
So if there is one. And this way it also removes some of the words. It takes
Yeah.
away some of the superfluous phrasings, super
Right.
duper clear.
It
So then
makes
it's
it, yeah.
just a question then, myth, irrelevant, assumption. Those all sound like nouns, but confident sounds more like it
I
doesn't seem
guess,
like
so here are the ones that don't fit. Okay, so let's say it's not a myth, but Gulli's not confident in it. So Gulli's like, oh, this is sort of true.
how it's just not confident.
Oh, but not confident kind of sounds like he's saying it isn't true.
Unsure, uncertain.
Yeah, so
unclear.
Yeah. And I was thinking it reads better for most people if it's a sentence instead of just a word, but I could definitely be wrong about that. I don't know. Or that different situations calls for different things, which we don't have to follow the rule 100%.
It would be interesting to see how that plays out if we made some of the changes.
So like this one says, it shouldn't just say there's low transparency. It should, so this is weak, a weak con. Now we could just say weak, colon.
Ooh,
right?
That's not bad.
Yeah. And I do have words for each of the rating levels. So weak would tell you that it's well, I guess the problem is with weak could mean either it's untrue or that it's irrelevant. So I'd like to distinguish that, but I don't know that we need it right now. But those are things we think of. So, and we can definitely vary. So if the word all caps colon doesn't work, then we could just not do it for those examples. Like, well, this one.
It's almost like the word is letting you know what the score is trying to
it's a
convey.
it's a repeat of the score in human terms, but it goes one level deeper than the score as it tells you whether it's truth or relevance, or because some of the reasons, it's not exactly why it's irrelevant, but sometimes it's how it's irrelevant. So like if someone says, well, let's an unrealistic example. Let's say global climate change isn't real, and someone says carbon dioxide doesn't cause thing, and let's say that ended up being a true statement, which it isn't, right? But there was some other reason that we have global climate change, like let's say it's because of the chlorofluorocarbons and we destroyed our thing, right? So the fact that CO2 isn't a problem anymore is irrelevant because there's another issue that takes precedence now. Or reverse though, someone could say that, our ozone layer is depleted and we fix that, right? So that's irrelevant but true. But I'd like to say why it's irrelevant rather than just say irrelevant. I mean, I guess they can open it up and see.
Yeah, because if I were to see irrelevant there, my first thought is it's irrelevant to this part of the conversation, or it's irrelevant to this claim, or it's
Yeah,
irrelevant to what I'm looking at now. It could be true, but it doesn't really have any bearing on what I'm actually looking at the moment.
yeah,
So irrelevant to me works.
yeah. So finding words. So maybe we do have a week, and then what are some more words that if we want gradations in between, or is it like either confident, in which case it's assumed we don't say anything, or is it false and then is it weak? But when it's weak, is it weak because it's untrue or weak because it's irrelevant? Not irrelevant, but sort of irrelevant, right? Not fully irrelevant.
How about
And
weak
sometimes things are
slash untrue, weak slash unrelated?
right. Yeah. So let's follow your suggestion until it breaks.
Okay. So
Because I like that as a, that's the good thing about that, is that's something I could
program in based on score.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I could automate it. Because now
Yeah.
that I'm realizing, the only time I want to say I am blank is the first statement. And that's where I'd like to say confident or slightly confident, or, and I have these qualifier words.
Mhm.
I don't know. And maybe I should pull those out of the code somewhere and let you see those so we can decide, do we want to put these? Because you could say slightly. I mean, slightly confident is a oxymoron.
Mhm.
But
Almost confident, nearly confident.
yeah, the thing is, confidence kind of implies absoluteness. So you have a qualifier from it. But anyways, I'm sure we could come up with something, put enough work into it. But okay. But I like the
Okay.
idea of one or two words in front of a colon, all caps.
So does that go for all of it then? Because in this example, if it's a vaccine will reduce your chance of getting seriously sick due to COVID, then you put in front of it confident.
Well, I
Or
accept only if it's. I think the rule will be only if it's the first claim. After that, if we're at near 100%, then we don't say anything.
okay. Well then back, and that's
Unless you
just on
think it's needed.
for confidence, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
So, but
For
only on the
confidence.
first one, I want to be very, on the top claim, I want to be nuanced about how Gulli's rated it. But below that, I don't think it's important.
Okay. Okay, got it. So I'm gonna change that. Okay. So the next one,
Guess I need to put an X on that one now. Because
okay, so it's okay just as is, a vaccine will reduce your chance. Okay, good. So that follows the new rule about they. Did I put that rule in there? Yeah, so that's line 10. That's why I was confused. I confused myself. C rules, line 10. The other thing was, before I could go back and correct it, under rules, I didn't want to number them yet because I didn't want to imply one was much more important than the other, or if we could just think of it as chronology, because I could put, rule 1, categorize statements for clarity. Rule 2, label each supporting document. Rule 3, I didn't do that. I only referenced the lines that they were on because if you like those rules, I think we should just number them, but the numbers aren't giving importance to it. It's just saying here's a rule. And it's just so we
Yeah.
can document, because eventually we'll go, oh, that's rule 3, because we'll know what rule 3 is.
Yeah, I'm okay with numbering them. I think at some point we might get into a conflict of rules, and and if we see that, then we will have to figure out a priority and put them in. But
Mhm.
yeah, I think it's okay to go ahead and put numbers next to them. That way,
Okay.
if we move them around, they don't screw anything up.
Okay, so then I would then go back through this document. Uh,
Or you could just leave
or I can
because
just
you
leave them
have.
where they are and leave that where it is. It'll reference it properly, but we'll
I
start
would
to
just go ahead
double.
and insert a column here and put the numbers in here. So
Yeah,
in case
I actually had that before, and I
okay,
just took it out, so I'll just put that in right now.
yeah.
Okay. There we go.
The only thing, and this is super nuanced, about not one vaccinated person has gotten sick enough to require hospitalization during the clinical trials, is that has gotten sick, and this is way too nuanced, implies ongoing in clinical trials or in the past.
Oh, right. And okay, but that's sometimes these nuances really matter. So,
I
okay,
don't know if it's okay just say not one vaccinated person got sick enough to require instead of
right.
has gotten.
Yep.
You know, the word got, I guess,
Have
were we trained in middle school not to use got?
gotten.
I kind of have a feeling that some grammarian gave me but there's no better
A
word.
rap over the knuckles with a ruler.
It's something like that.
Yeah, I know that was bothering me as well. I was worried that we're using like too much casual language, but then I thought we are saying get the vaccine. Everyone says get the vaccine. Hey, I got the vaccine.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I just wanted to
Gotten was
run that
even
by.
more problematic for me. It was gotten, but
Yeah.
got the vaccine. It's just consistent in that kind of layperson language. And I think, is Gully Bot a grammarian or
No.
is Gully? Yeah. So I
Right.
I felt gotten was more problematic. Got is not to me because it
Okay.
matches get.
Okay. Cool.
Get and got. My humble opinion. Okay, so that one's good. The next one, you had a question about the COVID-19 disease. I only put caps to show that
That's where the change
the
is.
disease, yeah. But I can take that away. But you had a question, so I
Oh,
wanted
so I
to.
was wondering whether we should. Oh, was I completely rephrasing that? So I was wondering whether it sounds to reverse the order of subject object. So the vaccines reduce the chance of having long-term side effects from the COVID-19 disease.
Yeah, that's good. The COVID-19 vaccines
Oh,
have been shown to minimize the COVID-19 disease. Well, wait a minute.
the long-term side effects.
The long-term negative side effects
Yeah.
of the COVID-19 disease. Like that?
I'm wondering whether we can leave out the COVID-19, the first COVID-19, and just say the vaccine.
The vaccine, since we're talking about the vaccines. Okay. Yep, of course. There we go. The vaccines have been shown
And
to minimize long-term negative, long-term, probably comma negatives, or is it long-term, not comma? That's the one comma that I'm always a little unsure.
yeah, I don't know.
Because it's long-term,
I mean,
or is it
the
long-term
rule I
negative?
go is if I'm pausing when I say it, then I put in a comma. And even though some grammarians hate that because they have specific rules, I'm like, that's what the comma means.
It's
In
a pause.
original
Right?
English, it's telling you when you're saying it out loud when to pause. And the pause is important because it tells you. Anyway,
I'm looking everywhere, CDC, Mayo Clinic, nobody puts a comma between the two. It's considered long-term negative
okay.
as a single. I just
Yeah.
look at it. I just searched for it, and
Yeah.
all of the reputable hospital sites and the CDC, none of them put a comma there. So
Cool. So one last thought about that. I'm wondering whether wonder if we need to say have been shown at all. And just put the claim the vaccines minimize the long-term negative side effects, and if they want to see why, they'd go down. And I'm not doing that so much to make it shorter, although it is. I'm just wondering if people are going to argue about the has been shown when that argument is happening below, rather than being where they think it's an assumption where we're kind of halting the conversation. But I don't know what you think about that.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, if we're going to make that a statement and we have a supporting document, I think we just make that statement rather than try to qualify it.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think that's fine. I think that makes sense. The vaccines minimize the long-term negative. Okay, awesome. Oh, and you had told me that you were planning to change this to an orange. Is it an orange now?
Oh yeah, let's see. No, so I didn't move anything yet.
Okay,
Although one of them, I'd have to look back at the video. One of them we talked about changing to an orange, and then
decided
later
not
on I
to.
realized I was completely wrong about it, because I was that was the whole COVID thing. So the vaccines minimize long-term negative side effects. I mean, that's a reason to take it. So that should
That
be
is a
purple.
reason to take it.
I think this is the one that we got confused on,
Oh, because, yeah.
until you added the word disease in there,
Mhm.
I kept reading it and getting it backwards.
That's right.
So
Okay,
you
so now
clarified
it's
that. Yeah.
so now it's fine.
Yeah.
So we don't have to worry about that.
There's
Okay.
another one in here we need to move around, but we'll figure that
Okay.
out.
So this one, the wording on the left-hand side was lifted directly from the article. It was directly
I
quoted.
like your rephrasing here.
So that's okay. All right.
Yeah, the only question was, should we say disease here as well, just to be clear? So
approximately 30% of outpatients in a study reported persistent COVID-19 symptoms for as long as 9 months after illness.
I guess
where were you
COVID-19
thinking?
disease symptoms would be weird. I'm wondering if someone might misinterpret as COVID-19 vaccine symptoms.
Approximately 30% of outpatients in the study reported persistent COVID-19 disease. Putting disease in there, I think, is okay.
Doesn't hurt.
Yeah, doesn't hurt. Not that awkward.
Okay.
But when we're depending on the claim, talking about disease versus vaccine, the more clarity. The assumption is if you just say COVID-19, no, you would just say the vaccines, and that's clear, or the disease. Yeah, I think this is fine.
Okay.
Okay.
This
All
number
right.
20, I think let's hold this for another discussion. That's going to be a deep, complex one. So if you can.
Okay, so I'm going to put down
You can
hold
skip.
on this.
I know I'm making you do things out of order, but
That's all right. Which one? So, but you're saying the one about low transparency?
yeah, because I'm thinking that may need to be broken up underneath every claim. Like instead of a blanket thing at the top of the thing, we put it underneath the claim, the things that have low transparency, like studies have shown, and then you say, oh, there's the pieces of the study that are missing are XXX. But I don't know if we really want to do that, because people that are coming in with that mindset are going to be looking for it and not find it.
Okay.
So I just think we need to think about. I need to spend just 30 minutes on that one, I think, by itself.
Got it. So I'll put down hold on that one. Okay, so the next one.
So yeah, that one, I think. Do you want to hit the ones that you've already approved first, then come back to the questions?
Sure, that's totally fine.
Or actually, let me see if there's any others I have questions, because I put X's on a lot of these. So these all I agree. Here's the next question mark. Oh, this is the one where I'd remove fact check. So I think Vicky put that in there, or maybe I did but yeah, I think we don't need that.
All right, fact check. Okay, so then remove fact check, but just keep it as Reuters. Do you like the way it looks with just the source and the date?
Yeah, I did have a concern about the sources being all caps, just because some media sites, the name has capitalization requirements. Now people will know who it is,
Like what do you mean? Like
Like
NN?
some names it's two words with no space, but the second word is capitalized. Not a big,
So that's a branding issue for them. That's
right.
not necessarily
And then I'm wondering how much do I want to call out the source? I'm not sure that it's that important
so we
to be that.
could just do you can do italics, right?
Yeah.
So then you would just do Reuters in italicized. Because
Yeah,
that would be proper.
I'm thinking that the rule should be italics because I don't want it called out. I don't want to be that in the person's face. It's more like
Okay.
if they disagree with it, they can look at the source.
Okay, so I'm going to put that down. I'm going to change the rule or make a note to myself to change the rule. Okay. And then just make sure we always are consistent using a colon, not a dash. Hold on, rule 7. What is that? What is that? Or do you like having the line, the
Yeah,
vertical
so
line?
that's a pipeline. And
Yeah,
coding we call them pipes.
types.
Yeah, I think the pipe looks neat rather than a.
Okay.
Although sometimes I use pipes in coding as a way to differentiate things that aren't
Would it
normally used.
mess it up?
Well, I don't in this code, but I was just thinking I in another program I said, oh, we'll use a pipe because no one ever uses that, and now I'm using it. No, let's use pipes for now because the colon I think looks weird.
Okay.
So that's good. Oh,
I mean, the
and
other thing, yeah, the other way to do it too is space / space, not backslash, / That's another way to separate, but I like the way the pipe looks. I think it looks really clean.
Yeah, I like it. Let's go with that. If I'll just have to figure out some other character if I need to put some hidden text in there somewhere.
Okay, I'm gonna put fix the source to italics on the spreadsheet, just as a reminder for me to go through real quick and do all of that. Okay. Perfect.
So the next one that I had a question on was 36. I just thought maybe I bumped on the halves in there twice. Maybe we could just simplify it saying results from clinical studies show that vaccines reduce the spread of the virus.
Yeah, they have shown all of that tense is a little bit awkward. Show that. How's that? Like that? Did I do that right?
I would just say, yeah. And then also I would say show that vaccines reduce the spread of the virus rather than have an impact in reducing, just simplified.
Okay,
wording.
results from clinical studies show that vaccines have an impact
I'd just say reduce
the spread.
And I'd say the spread of the virus rather than
Yeah.
the virus's spread. Just simpler wording.
Yep. Okay, and then I would just change that to nature and italicize it. There we go. There we go.
Now, if you want to save yourself time and not have to do that everywhere, you can just tell Vicky that.
No, it's okay. It's just a few. I mean, yeah.
So all these other ones I just agreed with. So the next one was 44.
Okay.
I just thought the word afforded was a bit too high of a reading level.
Which one? What word?
44.
Yeah.
More
afforded.
Needed. Yeah.
Okay, more information is needed regarding the protection from
provided.
Okay, so that was in the original language.
Yeah.
That is there. So more information is needed regarding the protection from infection and disease that is afforded by the current generation.
I wouldn't even mind rewriting this whole thing because I think it is a quote when I don't think we need.
So what are we trying to say? More information is needed regarding protection from infection and disease. Light of existing or potentially newly emerging, but
I guess
in light of go ahead.
Yeah, I guess the thing is we don't know how, and there might be a better way to say this, but we don't know how it's going to fare against Um, so, okay, so let's separate this into the score, the claim, and the claims. Um, the claim is actually that the vaccines will protect you against variants. And then the score before it is saying, meh, we don't know yet.
So that's it. We don't know yet how current vaccines will work against um,
Yeah. And then the question is,
COVID-19 variants.
yeah, and now the question is the rule that we were talking about before, where it's all where the evaluation, the analysis of the score is in a one word. That'd be one where would we just say like uncertain colon current vaccines will work against the COVID-19 variants?
Unproven,
Yeah, something like that. But is that, do
uncertain,
we want to do it
unproven.
that way to follow that pattern?
We could, yeah, we could. Yeah. So myth, irrelevant, confident, assumption. And so then there's that fifth one, uncertain or unproven or unverified. I don't know. Do we want to put it in right now? No.
I think we're okay putting it in. We just may have to go back and change it when we get some more solid wording.
Okay, so which one do you like the
Let's
best?
do I'd like uncertain, because then we don't get into a debate on whether it's proven or not.
Okay, right. Good.
Let's X that one. I don't know. We're not short on time yet, are we?
Well, we're just about at the hour.
Okay.
Yeah, and so here's the other thing I was going to ask. Still trying to find the perfect time for us to do something like this. I tend to do most of my work for you on my weekend mornings. I'm bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, and have nothing else, no other kind of work to worry about. So
do you
I'm
prefer
wondering,
Saturdays or Sundays?
well, I'm wondering if Fridays instead of the Monday, because what ends up happening is on Monday, and then I have all the things during the week, and by the time I actually get to working on it, I don't even know, I can't even interpret my own notes.
Yeah.
So when it's still kind of fresh, is Friday at this exact same time okay? Because then also on my Fridays, my workload is just much lower. I've sort of taken care of everything I need to do. I'm winding down my week. And so I don't feel like I have a hard and fast stopping point.
Yeah, Fridays. Yeah,
How does that look?
Fridays at this time works for me. It's blank for the next couple months.
Okay. So that would, to me, would be great, because then it'll still be fresh Saturday morning. I wake up, I'm like, okay, let's do some Gulli Bot stuff. It'll still be in my head where we were going with everything and what my next steps are.
Yeah, because this definitely gets confusing. Makes my brain hurt. Which is why people don't do this level of work, right?
What do you call this level of work?
it's well, it's epistemic. Epistemic work. But yeah, epistemic weightlifting. What it was. Detailed epistemology. Anyways,
Okay.
I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah. So now,
I find it interesting, and I think my obsession with just the perfect right word or phrasing is ends up hopefully being helpful.
yeah. I mean, I was just telling other people kind of like, how's your week? And I was catching up with a friend today, and he was like, so what you've been working on? And I was telling him how great it was to have someone who's as particular about wording as I am to bounce things off of, because you keep looking at the same sentence and you just need a second set of eyes that looked at it after you looked at it.
Yeah. Oh, good.
Now this Friday I'm busy, but every Friday after that. So
okay, well, we're fine
probably
right now. Yeah, we'll just start it the next week. I'll go back into the calendaring thing and make sure everything's updated. But this, so really what I need to do is just get it ready for Vicky. So I'm going to clean up anything. So wherever you have the X's, I will tell her that means you can do the edits if you have access to the place to edit it. Double check the blue column G, I think it is, whatever it is. There may be some particular notes for you. And double check the rules tab so you could begin to see some of the things that we're putting into place that should be retroactive and should affect everything moving forward.
Yeah, sounds
So
great.
Vicky should hold off until I kind of do the last minute cleanup on it, but I'll get that done, today or tomorrow, so she can work on it this week.
Awesome.
What I was also wondering from you, a simple thing, if you're comfortable, if you go back, and I'll give you the link and everything, go back and look at some of the new bios for the social networks. I don't think you've gone in and changed them yet, but I thought we had some agreement on what they should be. I didn't know if you felt comfortable giving me just the passwords and I'll just go in and clean those up for you. It's just updating the bio so they're all consistent
Yeah.
in the same voice, pointing to the same things.
Yeah, I'm
But
definitely okay giving you access.
okay,
Because
would just be
eventually I
Twitter and
think you'll be
Facebook.
doing some social media. Did
Yeah.
we, I don't know if, I don't, I'm doubting whether we ended up agreeing on what it would be though.
Well, I was going to say, I think if you could go back, that's something concrete that I could work on this week. So
Oh,
if you
right,
could,
right, right, yeah.
yeah, if you go back, look at those bios just for Twitter
Okay.
and Facebook bios. If you like them, if you have comments, leave me some notes. I'll play with it a little bit. We could do a little back and forth virtually, and then just, give me the access in whatever way you feel comfortable doing so. Once you say, okay, I like it, let's just go with that change, then I'll just go in and change it for you. And then whenever we want to do something subtle like that, I can just go in and make those changes. And then, yeah, eventually, once you start
Yeah,
doing your social media, I'm happy to be the voice of a Gulli Bot.
just great.
Okay,
All right.
excellent. All right, I think that's good.
Okay. I'll see
Thank
you
you.
in the chat and then the Friday after next.
Okay, sounds good.
All right.
See
Bye
you
bye.
later. Bye.